Hello my stars and just guest of the channel, with you as always Rosa Shadow or simply Miss Rosa, and today's Speedpaint will be a continuation of the previous video, where I talk about how I came up with my universe and wrote the lore. If you haven't seen it yet, then the link will be in the description or at the top of this video, and in this part I will tell you more about the plot and what will experientially be in each of the 4 parts. And before we start, I would like to ask you to subscribe to my Patreon if you want to see the process of creation the universe from the inside and see the concept arts before others, then subscribe to the higher level of Patreon. Well, I won't drag it out any longer, let's get of this video. The first part will be post-preparation and familiarization before the main plot, which will be in the second part, since this is the most extensive and plays the same big role as the prequel. In Immortality for Survival Children from Hell, it will be about how and why the children of Satan and Lucifer become humans in infancy and lived for more than a century among people on the planet Dana Vita, in simple words on the planet Earth, and how they later learned about their origin. In my universe, all countries, cities, worlds, holidays, ads have their own names. I came up with them of crossing worlds in all possible languages, even thoughts that haven't been used for a long time. As you already know from the previous part, the main characters are Junie, Lilith and their older brother Memoru. In Dana Vita they are known by the surname Sakurai. Science and Hell's names are not used. In additionals they are not their real names but only pseudonyms, so that the angels don't know where to look for the children of their worst enemies. Let me remind you for those who don't know yet, Memoru, Junie and Lilith have not the same mother, but different fathers. Their mother is a fallen angel named Naoki. Memoru and Junie's father is Satan and Lilith's father is Lucifer. He is the only one among the deadly saints to have another name, Sota. Since, like all demons, he can take human form and uses the name Sota Sakurai. As it discusses, Satan simply searches his name and comes out as Sate Sakurai. Also, in my universe, not all saintful angels take the form of demons. For example, Naoki decided for herself that she would remain a fallen angel. How and why this happened you will find out in the game itself. Unleash, of course, you have not forgotten about the excitement of this universe by the time it comes out. With demons everything is such more interesting, because if they somehow manage to find themselves in paradise and God accepts them, then they will only not change, but will also have a special position and role in the universe. You will also learn about this from the game itself, namely in second part. Also, Tiger and Scarina play a very important role in the lives of the main characters. I'll start with Tiger. Please don't confuse with the Disney's Tiger. He has taken as a prototype and is a kind of reference. In my universe, Tiger is not just a toy but Junie's guardian demon, whom her parents created and sold into a toy when their children live among humans. He supports Junie's power science among the Angel family. She is on par with Satan, and if during awakening she awakened all her power, she could simply lose control over it, and will unlock it only when Junie mature enough for this. Tiger also has his own abilities, but after awakening he is always next to Junie and protects her. He unquestionably carries out all the order of his creators Naoki and Satan, and Junie considers him a part of herself. And yes, Tiger will also have his true name and a more significant role in the future. His appearances has created in the likeness of his creators. The color of his eyes is like Naoki and his hair is like Satan. Now let's move on to Scarina. Her role and appearances have changed several times, but she doesn't have a final design yet. Initially her name was Eve, and the sisters were supposed to merge into one world to awaken her by exchanging powers. This was supposed to be their strongest ability, but in the end I stopped like this idea and I radically changed her role. Now she is Naoki's creation and controls the dream world called Enmu. She can come into the dreams of others and communicate with them, transfer powers and also change her form. Scarina can look like a girl or like a child, depending on the circumstances. First part, the plot will be built on how Jun and Lilith met their older brother Memoru, why he lost his memory and didn't remember then for a long time, why the sisters didn't remember him and their origin until they were 100 years old, their where parents were all this time, the first appearances of Skyrina, when Juni learned the tiger is not just a toy, and also getting to know the yokai, meeting the first antagonist, their goal and background, the main characters discuss of yokai, where they will all live, what difficulties they will face, why the blue moon, which occurs one every 3 months, is so important for yokai, what holidays and alliances they have, the meeting of the main characters with their family after a long time of separation. You will learn about all this in the game itself. I also from time to time post various facts about my universe on Instagram in their current one. Each of the 4 games will have 3 endings, canonical, that is happy, bad and bonus. Each of the endings will be influences of the player's answers, as well as interactions with the characters. Each chapter will be from the perspective of one of the characters. The game will be divided into acts and each other of them there will be chapters divided into 3 stages. In the first, the answers will affect the romantic relationship of the characters. In the second, trust in relationship and friendship, and at the end of this chapter you can get coins for which you can open additional scenes with this or that character, and finally the third stage affects the ending more than the others. Immortality for survival, bloody battle to the death. It doesn't matter which ending you get, because the second part will count according to the canonical ending. That is, if you don't complete the first game, it will be difficult to immediately understand everything and grab the plot. The events take place after a small time skip and counting the main plot. A lunar eclipse occurs, the many characters will discover their true powers and races, which not all of them knew about, unsliding the main character, then the characters from Generation 0, and also most of the parents will be told the truth and taught new skills. Also the parents of the main characters will personally appear to talk to the children, and then my favorite and most interesting part of the wall of will come, the siege of relics and artifacts. The characters will have to split up and return to their homeland in order to find the necessary knowledge and strangers, while interaction with each other in difficult situation and learning something new about themselves. But not everyone will be so lucky. Some will have to return not to their native lands but to the lair of enemies, where they are clearly not welcome. Then a conflict will arise, someone will want to give up everything and resign themselves to fate. Someone doesn't trust the main characters, someone will want to stay in their homeland, and someone will even think about betrayal. In the next arc, the characters will have to face enemies again, but this battle will be much more dramatic, since the backstories of the antagonist will be revealed, the events progress, and not everyone will like it. Many will remain depressed and confused after this fight, and some will even be kidnapped or killed. This will be one of the difficult storylines, where the characters will have to go through a difficult path to make important designs, and also will be several battles, just not all at once, but divided into chapters and different moments. Perhaps there will even be mini games with gacha and arena. In addition to battle, the plot will also have love lines that influence the plot, and their task is to delight the story with romance, humor and sometimes glass, as well as to reveal the characters from a different side and not always from the best. As I mentioned earlier, the game will have options that affect relationships, including a love scale, thanks to which the characters will begin to penetrate each other, develop feelings and all that, and battles and common problems will only unease them and will heat up the situation. After the main storyline, before the climax, the heroes will have a coronation and hear another about the falls of their shoulders, because not everyone will accept the new rulers and will be skeptical. They will have to face new responsibilities and pressure from others, which will either strangles or shake the spirit of the characters. Of course, there will be the main battle, let's say with the boss of this part, during which the player will reach one of the 3 endings. Their prince principle is the same as in the first game. Prequel Immortality for survival time of heroes and traitors. Prequel is probably my second favorite part because here I will tell you about how the universe works and different races were created, where the events will unfold from the creations of the universe and up to part 1. This game revealed more lore and backstories of the heroes, tell about thought rules. I think if you play the games in chronological order, you will be more intrigued, and if you decide to play the prequel before other games, then when you play, you will already know all the secrets. In this part I will also talk about the problems and why wars between angels and demons, between humans and yokai, between gods, between witches and vampires, and much more happened. How races, states, countries, cities, languages, people, mystical creatures and world appeared, why many were explained it. In my universe, some characters are also able to be reborn, but no more than 3 times, and with each rebirth they can't only radically lose their past life selves, but also lose some of their strength. Some of the heroes can have several personalities. This is more of an ability than some kind of mental disorder. For example, with the help of a certain artifact, you can create a second personality for themselves and will be connected to it until to the end of this life. In the prequel, I will also tell you about the gods, how many of them there are, and why many they are sealed until a center point, and also after their imprisonment, 9 rulers appeared who took the place of the gods, until 2 of them rebelled, starting a war around in the lives of many creatures and destroyed many states. Why exactly they become ruler and why Satan chose them, and God did nothing? Why is the main god in the universe, and what happened to the who were always with him? How events moved from 0 to first generation? I will tell about all this in the prequel. I don't think there can be any endings here because it will seem that everything is clear, but I want to show what could have happened if the characters had actually differently, what consequences this ultimately led to, so perhaps there will be 2 endings in this part. Sequel Immortality for Survival New Generation, and as you may have already understood, the sequel will continue with the canonical ending after the second game. The action will most often take place in Hell many years after the events. You will find out what happened to the characters of Generation 0 and First, and also get acquainted with the second generation, among which there will be not only the children of the heroes, but also completely new characters, and they will have to meet not only old enemies but also new ones. The heroes will have to visit new worlds and solve the problems that remain after part 2 and logically complete this large-scale story. They will learn about new creatures and states and learn to interact with them. Finally, everything's secrets will become clear, which will close the plot holes and moments that have been hushed up for so long. During this time, the characters have developed new abilities that they will demonstrate in battle, and who knows, maybe they will have to unite with former enemies. Let's not forget about the new generation, which will also play its role in this history, and no matter how cruel it may sound, first of all, a new generation is needed so that they can take their places of the throne, especially if something happened to the main characters. A bonus is that many have very different creatures, for example, a yokai with vampire, a demon with a vampire, a witch with yokai, and so on. And this is a turn gives their children new powers. You must agree that it sounds like a conveyor belt of new magic, but besides the problem with the world gods and the princess of the galaxy, this will be one of the problems that the second generation intends to solve. I don't want to make it so the children will take all the screen time, taking the place of the first generation. On the contrary, they will be more like an additional to them, revealing the characters in the role of parents and how they will solve new problems and the rulers. Of course, where would we be without glass and drama? The battle with the main antagonist of the story will be quite dark and cruel, which will change the story drastically. I will say this, the final endings at this moment are more thought out than the entire plot as a whole, because it was important for me to decide on logical emotional endings of the universe. Sequel will also have 3 endings. You ask, Arosa, why? Isn't this the end of the story? Yes, this is the end, but in addition to the canonical ending, I want there to be 2 alternatives. For example, what would have happened to the universe if the characters made the wrong move, or how one action can change the whole story, and I want my universe to live for a long time and for fans to have a place to roam, and for everyone to be able to find something they like. After the completion of my tetralogy of games, there will be no other part in this universe, expect maybe some DLC, and so I may make collections of mini-comics from what fans will miss in the games, well, and various arts. I don't want to make some kind of conveyor belt of games from the universe. Each story should have its own ending, and the ending of my story will be the 4th game. Well, that's all I have for now. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found it interesting to listen to me. In the next video I tell you about my sonas. If you have any question, write to me in the comments. If there are enough interesting ones, I make a video in the question and answer style. This was with you, Miss Arosa. See you later. Bye bye.